Hello, and welcome back to another speaker introduction interview. This time I am interviewing one of the speakers who was picked from amongst the applications we received. This is Edward Slingsby. So, Edward, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, yes. I'm a young architect, I think I'd call myself, as in I've been qualified just almost 2 years, and I have set up my own practice already. Prior to studying architecture, I did actually study fine art, and was had a brief attempt to become an artist. I come from a very art creative centric background, but I've always been interested in politics and education. I think definitely having spent far too long in university, I've thought about how we are taught, and then subsequently finishing architecture, like how the profession is run and how the profession works, and how you're set up for doing what I'm doing now. Over the last year, I've been running a practice, a business.
So, Edward, you set up your own architectural practice. What kind of style of architecture is it you do?
So I describe myself as a traditionalist. I mean, architecture is taught very exclusively in a modernist fashion or a contemporary fashion. All of these words are quite loaded. Um, I The traditionalist world covers quite a broad range. The most highest profile is classical architecture, and there's a lot of big names in that world who I have worked for, and who I've followed quite closely. But I prefer the kind of broader definition, I guess, of traditionalist. Um, and I'm trying to see if I can work that into the core of my own business. I think that's part of the reason as well I set up my own business, is to have a level of control and rigor over that, of the type of architecture that I actually practice.
So, you applied to speak at the event, and you've from the get go shown interest in the event. Why was it you applied? What was it you hope the event can be?
Um, I I think it is immediately a great idea to actually physically get together and to do something. Uh, um, the order that comes from having to do a talk and organize an event, I think that helps to take the conversations that have been had online to a further level, um, and make it more, maybe more real, and improve some of the connections between people, uh, as opposed to this maybe at times a little abstract digital world.
Yeah, definitely. And to pick up on something you said there, so we've also heard from the people who applied and the people we've asked to do speeches, is that just having this one thing to work towards is has been a very good incentive for the speakers themselves to actually start thinking about their ideas and go through the process of laying them down. Is that something you found as well?
Absolutely. As soon as the call was sent out for guest speakers, I kind of thought I had a little idea, and then it encouraged me to think about it a little bit more. And then I think within a week or so, I kind of thought I think I had the kind of the basis of a talk. Um, and then I mean, it's what I feel like you need. You always need a bit of an incentive or a kick, kind of some pressure. And since leaving university, I haven't done any writing, proper sort of essay writing, and I had hoped to do that, but it's so hard if your only focus is self-imposed. You need that additional pressure or guidance. That has really helped me, and I've enjoyed the challenge of it. It's been good.
So, picking up from there, could you give us a brief overview as to what you're going to be talking about and the sort of things you're going to be covering?
So the focus is, I think, on a sort of critique, and investigation into the professional bodies that oversee architecture, where they are, I think, very evidently failing both in their education and in their management of the profession. But then tying that to, from my traditionalist point of view, there are a number of sub-bodies, sort of subgroups, sub-professional groups that have, champion traditional architecture across the section, quite a broad cross section. Yet, I think the problem with them is they are not seeing the weakness of the profession and taking an advantage of that, the weakness of the main body of the profession. And I think I'm trying to sort of encourage and lay out some ways that like-minded architects can kind of prepare themselves almost for or offer alternative routes into the profession that to kind of take over where the profession is failing.
So could you give us a little glimpse as to what you suggest some of these smaller groups could be doing?
So I think it comes down to there is one thing that I feel like is maybe my big kind of proposition at the end of my talk, but it is all about, I think, becoming educators ourselves effectively and passing on information, and in time proving our competency as architects or as kind of any designer, beyond the seal of approval of the big institutions, and having the seal of approval coming from your body of work and your experience, because, well, to say one thing, it is quite possible to have the stamp of an architect, but to have barely any years of real experience, having come fresh from university, but someone who has 20, 30 years of first-hand direct experience could not call themselves an architect. So I think there's this inherent contradiction in the profession, and in the quality of education, that I can be, I think, just needs an extra push to unbalance that. And I think taking on teaching roles ourselves, re-looking at the concept of apprenticeships is really what I'm proposing, and taking these professional groups. In some ways, this touches on what you were mentioning earlier. These positive professional groups, as I see them, these sort of traditionalist groups, they are very gentle. They're very kind of passive groups. And I think actually what we need is to challenge each other and keep each other sharp, and maybe test each other, as if kind of most people at university, within your friendship group, you may keep each other in check through like questioning them. Why do you say that? Why did you do that? Why do you propose that? And I think if that a professional group that actually keeps each other sharp and tested, as opposed to kind of comfortable, is definitely an important aspect, as I see, going forward as well.
Thank you very much for joining us, Edward. Before you go, are there anything you want to shill, anything you want to shout out?
Well, I'd encourage anyone interested in architecture or design to check out the Foundation podcast and what Pharaoh and Owen are doing. I think it's a great channel. and I hope they've got a great future ahead as they develop what they've started so successfully.
Excellent. Thank you. And of course, if you want to hear this grand conclusion to this talk, you will have to be at the event. Myself and Edward here will both be there, and we hope to see you there. All information is in the description below. Goodbye.
Bye.